Here we go. All right. All right. All right. Hey, it's a guy with a COVID haircut whose name is Eric, and he's making a game in Unity with C# and all kinds of assets, wonderful assets. I feel like I want to demo a few things that I actually did over the hiatus, so it wasn't like a complete departure from working on the project. I worked on music. I did quite a bit of music. So I'm going to play a few songs, and then I'm going to start coding. I'm going to do some live coding session. But I do like this thing. I want to get back into it, which is start with a demo, and then anybody that really wants to keep going and get looking over my shoulder as I do some work, then you can stick around. So it's good to have things to demo. Let's demo something. Let's demo music. Music is enjoyable. Or at least some of it is. Maybe my music is enjoyable. We'll see. My chair is less enjoyable. It makes a lot of noises. Okay. This is just a little... This is an incomplete song. I'm not going to play that. So let's go to one of the other ones. All right. This one's supposed to be kind of a ambient type thing. In fact, maybe I'll just do some work while these are playing. Oh, that's a real short one. Here, let's do another one. Let's see. Master Debater. And there are lyrics to this, but I just don't feel like singing it. It kind of works as without the lyrics anyways, so here we go. done pile. Let's see, what else? Right. What I should do is like kind of output these all to like one big soundtrack and just let it play in the background while I work. But right now I gotta load them all into Logic and play them. On the other hand, I will get so sick of them if I just let them play on repeat. Worse than getting sick of them, I'll lose my ability to make constructive edits to them. So yeah, it's probably a bad idea to just play them in the background. Alright, so here's another one. What else? What else have people not heard? I don't think I played like the updated His Holy Meal. Maybe I did. It's alright. It bears repeating. And in the background, I'm actually doing some work. I'm just copying over source code from the old project to the new project, and I'm just sort of pulling it in slowly, a little bit at a time, to kind of correct problems I see as they come up, put things in the right locations I want them to be in, things like that. Okay, I'm gonna play one more song, and it's honestly the one I'm most proud of. Um, Maybe it'll sound terrible to other people, but to me it sounds good. And I only know how to make music that sounds good to me. That's what I know how to do. that's an almost complete tour of the music. That sound is a airplane it was about 500 feet away from me. It was that close. And there are sometimes some that are maybe more like 300 feet, possibly 200. When I look up at these airplanes, it literally looks like if I had like a baseball in my hand and I just hucked it as hard as I could, go up, 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 and like maybe I could hit it. Maybe I could, from the ground, throw a baseball up at that plane and hit it. It's that fucking close. It's just nothing wrong with that. But it does mean that my plan to create a recording environment in my new house got more complicated. So I basically need to make something that's pretty close to soundproof. And I got some plans in the mail for something called a DAW box, DAWBOX. There's this guy who sells plans to make this semi-portable, a recording booth that is not built into the room. It's something you could take apart and transport someplace else if you wanted. So that's in my roadmap. Okay. So yeah, I wasn't completely off this project on my hiatus. I actually wrote quite a bit of music during that time. But I am getting back to the code, and there is a lot of it. There is a lot of code. And I'm not somebody that like leaves a bunch of code laying around that's unused. I tend to delete things if I'm not using them. So this is, for the most part, all necessary code for the game to run. And I'm just kind of copying over a little bit at a time because I want to have it work with my new ASM defs, which break the project out into separate buildable units. Instead of building everything when I make a change, it'll rely on a few things to sort of stay the same. I resolved a cyclical dependency just now by moving a file. I think the way it's going to be split out, it's not too complex. There will be one, what's it called, build unit, I guess. I don't know what the correct term is. One intermediate build file, or DLL, manifest, I think that's it. There'll be one build unit for the level controllers, which is the code that scripts certain events to happen while the player is in a given level. There'll be another one for the third-party assets, and there'll be a third one which will contain everything else, which is all of the game code which is not specific to individual levels. Level controllers are specific to individual levels. So those three seem like a pretty sensible division to me. The third-party assets, I don't want to keep on recompiling them every time. A couple of reasons why not. One is it takes longer. That's the main reason. Two, all this third-party asset code, it doesn't build clean. It's got a whole bunch of warnings in it. And I like to build clean. I like my console log to not have warnings in it. And the people that put out third-party assets, most of the time the warnings are due to the Unity engine sort of changing underneath them, such that when they come back, such that the code that was written, say, with a older version of Unity, maybe a year back, will generate all kinds of warnings as the engine's updated. But sometimes they're just fucking lazy coders. they don't have this philosophy that you want the warnings to go away. So it's really irritating to me to have in the main build all kinds of warnings popping up that are in this third-party code, and I'm not going to go into the third-party code and fix all the stuff in their third-party code to get rid of those warnings. But if I've got pre-built manifest build units, whatever it is, then I won't need to do that. I won't need to worry about seeing their warnings. They won't appear. Only warnings in my code, when I make changes to it, will appear. Okay, so slowly moving stuff over. And I learned that just now that I can't see the files inside of the IDE until after I go over to Unity and let it recognize the assets. Pro Builder 2. Face util. That's an editor. Okay. happens if I do this? What does it think that I have? Okay, face util is inside of scripts. I should have all the DLLs referenced. I'm getting close here. React command, I know how to fix that. That's just a kind of a cyclical dependency type of a problem. So if I go to the level controller, take the React command. I'm just kind of sweater threading this. It's not a bad way to remind myself of what all the files are here, because I have not worked with them for about 3 months. Goddamn, there's a lot of them. So many. And these are not a bunch of little files either. I mean, what we got? 4K. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty typical. Let's see, 9K, 3K, 1K, 3K. Yeah. So there's a lot of code here. I mean, tens of thousands of lines of code. Maybe, I don't know if I've gotten past 100. It'd be interesting to look at the count of lines of code at some point. But let's see how close I am to compiling now. Yeah, more sweater threading. Gesture advising. Well, that's kind of cool. So now I'm just down to this Pro Builder stuff. Huh. So I'm thinking about this. I could try and figure out the Pro Builder stuff. I could also just kind of disable, comment out the code that is causing the error and keep going with the source code. I think I might do that. So if I just kind of got PB face all over the place. Oh. All this PB stuff. So I made some changes to the audio point pool, and it should be called a different way. What is the new way to call it? So this script I don't want to bring in yet. Because it's basically the biggest source of sweater threads of all main object. I want to get all the other stuff building first before I bring it in. Okay, that's just a warning. Where's the errors? I mean, that type of error, I know it tends to go away after a bit. This is some silliness here. Well, maybe I have more than one definition of React command. Is that possible? It is possible. Okay, scripts, logic. Yeah, I have more than one. So let's get rid of the extra one. Okay. To build with one warning, which is a result of my disablement. Okay, I have a successful build. There's a little bit left to do here to get all the source over. So let me. I'm probably going to end here, but I just want to take a look at what's left. So guides. Camera. That's it. And then fix the Pro Builder stuff. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to do everything except fix the Pro Builder stuff in this session. So let me move over the remaining few folders. Okay. Camera and what was that one? Guides. Let me see if that builds. That's great. Fix this stupid shit. Just make sure if I hit play that it will actually run. Okay, that's fine. That's pretty cool, actually. I've got almost all the source code in there. What's left? There's main. Game input. Main and game input. Okay. And I think game input will be large enough that it will end up growing. So let's put it in its own folder. And that gives me one tidy little main object here. This is the main game loop. And most of the things that happen inside of update loops are handled by one single update loop. So instead of having like a bunch of distributed actions happening in different update methods of different game objects, I've got one master game object that has one giant update loop, and it actually specifically calls everything that's needed. And that's a good way of keeping track of keeping control of the sequence of things and when they'll be processed, updates and different objects, things like that. Okay, let's see if that broke it. That would fix that. Now I did disable some code that would have loaded in main object. So let me re-enable that now that main object is building. All right, this is actually a pretty nice moment for me. So, just to explain it, there was an old project which had all of my game code in it, and it stopped working, and there were various build problems, and it was related to some kind of corruption of the project files with some different symbolic links and stuff like that. Some file system weirdness that put the project into a state which I couldn't get it out of easily. The easiest way to fix that, I decided at the time, was to move all the files into a new project. But then I created the new project, and I think I postponed this task because it seemed kind of dissatisfying, a lot of fidgeting around with compiler build stuff and ASM.def files, which I didn't really understand very well at the time. I still just don't understand that well. I'm a newbie at them, but I think I get it now. I get the basics of it. So I'd created the second new project, and instead of moving all the old code into it, I sort of postponed that. And I worked instead on the scene loading functionality. The level loader, shared objects, like common objects that wouldn't unload when you change the scenes. I wanted to get that right. But meanwhile, there's all this old code in a different project, and it seemed like it would be a big mess to move it over into the new project. But to be honest, it was not that hard. It's only been like an hour and a half, and I've got most of it done. The only thing that's kind of left is figuring out the Pro Builder import in referencing. And I'll leave that for a session tomorrow. I think. Because I'm in a good place right here. That builds. All the source code is in the new project. Also, it builds pretty fast. Well, here's where I usually have to wait a long time. Okay. And it loaded really quick. It built really quick. I didn't have to wait a long time. So, yeah, I got the source in. The source from the old project, though, it's not hooked up to any game objects. So the other part to bring in is the level scenes, and then get those levels working. And I might I don't know. I'm going to think about the best way to do that. I like to do things in little session-sized chunks. I like to pick something that I can finish in one session. And it seems to be good for my mind, particularly when my day job is a collection of about 20 projects that are quite difficult to say they're done or completed. They're hairy and lots of things outside of my control, and always have a sense I don't have enough time to finish everything. So when I come home, part of the thing that I'm getting out of this practice is that I can pick a small chunk-sized task and get it done, and you know, it's quite satisfying to me. So this task that I've got, which is to get all the old game code working again inside of the new project, threatens to be a demoralizing task for me, because it's kind of hairy and complicated. But if I can decompose it into enough smaller tasks that I can make a little bit of progress every night, then it won't sap my energy. It'll do the opposite. I'll feel better about making a little bit of progress at night on my personal project, and kind of alleviate this thing that maybe my day job isn't giving me as much satisfaction in right now. Don't get me wrong, there's lots of other good things about my normal job, but making progress on things all under my control is not one of them. All right, that's it. That's the session. If anyone was quietly lurking, thanks for watching. The session last night, somebody named Magic Slinky was watching me for a bit, and then right when I was closing down, posted a little happy face thing. That's cool. I'm going to stop the stream now. I'll be back tomorrow, and I'll keep going on this stuff. Stopping the stream. Stopping it now.